Yeah. Now the final unpopular opinion. I think I waited for this one.
Massey shouldn't
Lewis
have been
Hamilton.
fired.
Lewis Hamilton retires as a one-time world champion if he does not go to Mercedes.
Where does he go instead, or does that matter?
Yeah, so if you remember, I wrote the post on X about it. I wrote it until 2016. So how I thought it would actually pan out is Hülkenberg goes to Mercedes for 2013-14.
So Hülkenberg's a champion.
Yeah, I said that a lot of people got offended. So Lewis, I think what was going to happen in 2014 is Alonso will be fed up and he will be looking to move. At the same time, I think in 2014, Vettel is also fed up and he's also looking for a move. Mercedes, on the other hand, has approached Vettel twice in 12, 13 and 11, something like that. So they replaced one of the Nicos with Vettel.
It was only 11, I think, wasn't it? Or was it 11 and
12? In 12, the order in which Mercedes went about was, I think it was Alonso, they approached first, then it approached Vettel, then Lewis, and then it was Nico. I think that was the order they said.
I know they wanted Vettel anyway because he was German world champion, so that was obvious. That was who they were going to go for.
So
Lauda wanted Hamilton, obviously. So
yeah, precisely. So what I thought was in 2014, Vettel moves to Mercedes. As soon as that happened, Alonso moves to Red Bull because Alonso is done with Ferrari. He was done with Ferrari by 14. Seat opens up, Lewis moves to Ferrari.
Okay.
And from there, you can chart it the way you want.
From 2014. So 2014, Hamilton's in the McLaren. 2015, he's in the Ferrari, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2014,
so
Vettel.
He doesn't leave at the end of 2012. He stays for an extra 2 years. And
That's what you're saying.
No contract was there, right?
So does Vettel go to Mercedes?
Vettel goes to Mercedes. One of the Nicos.
What year does he go to Mercedes?
2015.
Because that's 2015.
From 2015 onwards, you have in Mercedes, Vettel, Alonso is at Red Bull, and Lewis is at Ferrari. And McLaren is in the gutter, by the way, because it has Honda. So
well, like if he goes to Ferrari, right, in 2015, he obviously doesn't win 15 and 16 because there's just no way that Ferrari's winning, right? Regardless.
Yeah.
He doesn't win 19 because they cheated, so that's that, right? 2020 not a chance, and 2021 not a chance, right? So
basically, it's a question of 17 and 18.
Yeah, essentially. So do I think Lewis would have made the difference in a Ferrari in 17 and 18? I think he could have done better. I'm just not sure whether he would have cinched the title. And I think at most one of the seasons, not two. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think he wins one of them. I think he probably wins 2018, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think so. And the reason is not only the internal politics, whatever. Ferrari took off 4 to 5 races worth of upgrades when the car got slower. And then the car started performing. That is the team and the outfit that we are talking about.
We're also not taking into account how much mental damage they would have done to him in 15 and 16.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah.
That's true. But I think if Lewis went to Ferrari, he would have this mindset that it's going to be a long-term project. He had a similar mindset when he went to Mercedes as well. So, yeah, probably that's not going to be an issue.
Could you make an argument he could have won 19? I mean, they were quick. I mean, Ferrari's biggest problem in 19
Do you think he'll
was...
stay until 2019? That's also a question.
Well, let's assume
the team principal changes. Marchione is gone.
The thing is, I don't know, because I think if Vettel goes to Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
The question is then, does Vettel beat Rosberg? Which I think he does. Probably, like 2016, if all of the same factors that happened to Hamilton happens to Vettel, then he could lose that to Rosberg, because a good chunk of that was about reliability.
Because of a poor start. 4 races.
Sure, okay, but there was also the reliability, everything else as well. So I'm not sure if I think it's still close. What the outcome is, I don't know, but I think it's still close. 15 he wins. Like, I think he beats Rosberg in 15 without, because he did so well in Ferrari in 15, considering where the Ferrari was and everything. I think going in, that renewed energy and everything else, I think he beats Rosberg. The question is then, does Rosberg leave at the end of 2016 the same
No, he
way if he
won't.
wins, for example?
He won't. Rosberg left because he was drained up with the battle.
He was drained
against
fighting
Lewis.
Hamilton. So, like,
Yeah.
if it's a new person, that's my point. Like, does he still win the championship and go, or is it because it's a new person? Does he
Does
stay?
he have
because
to go to the same lengths he went to beat Lewis, to beat Seb? I don't think he does. I think
Plus, the thing is, do they get involved in the kind of political battles?
yeah, see that would have
does
changed.
Niki
it quite a
Lauda
bit,
allow
I
something
think.
like this? The presence of Niki Lauda
Seb
makes
and
a
Nicky,
big difference.
Seb and Nico don't have the personal history that he and Lewis had, which
Yeah.
I think really underpinned that rivalry. That
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were so close coming through.
Precisely.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
he'd been losing since childhood. So
yeah, and I think, you know, because Lewis was so fast, and I mean, in 2015 he was just so good and kicked Nico's
Yeah.
ass. And I've listened to Nico talk about this on when he had his own podcast, and he just said the lengths he was going to, it was unsustainable. So I think,
Yeah.
but does he do that to beat Seb? Maybe, but probably not to the same extent, like as deep down the hole as he went to beat
but
See,
Lewis.
even
if
if
you-
it doesn't, I
if
don't
you
think
run
it gets dark.
But if you
That's
run
the
through
whole
all
bit.
of that as well, though, Casual, the problem is, right, so the question I have then is, like, in
Where is
19,
Max?
for example, well, there's where is Max is one question. The other question is, like, does Vettel drop out after 7 championships? Because I don't think he wants to take the 8th away from
Oh no, he does.
Michael.
He
Oh, yeah, he would have
I don't know.
He
Yeah.
would have done it for Michael actually, because
That's a good way for
I
him
think-
to spin it, but I'm
I
doing
mean,
this
it's
for
like
you,
so-
You
Michael.
say
Yeah.
where's Max? I think Max is in a Mercedes. Let's not forget Toto wanted him.
ideally that's what I thought.
So it would be Seb and Max.
Mm,
In which year?
17, wouldn't it? But
Well,
then the problem
no,
is
I
you
mean-
can't give him the seat before then.
Maybe
That's the-
maybe he
Yeah.
ditches both of the Nicos and they just say, nah, both of you go away and go and bring Seb and Max in. And Seb beats Max for at least 2 years, maybe 3. And then from 2018 onwards, maybe Max would have a better chance. But
So I think at most, though, I think in that scenario, Lewis is a 2-time world champion at most.
yeah,
Definitely, like, and I think you could argue all day whether he wins the second or not, but I do think he could have won one of them. Whether he does or not is
In
a different
2017,
question.
one
17, 18 or 19, he could
there
win
was
those.
one pole position for Ferrari in the second half of the season. One. And it's a season of 2 halves. Everyone continues
winning-
to look
winning
at the first half and
2019
say
is-
that, okay, Ferrari was great. That's
Yeah.
just not how things work. You have to be good for the entire season.
Winning
The second half-
2019 completely depends on who's in the Mercedes, doesn't it? Like, it completely depends on who's in the Mercedes. Because,
Yeah.
like, if you have anyone competent in the Mercedes, I think no. If you've got Bottas and, like, I don't know, if it's Bottas and I'm just trying to think who,
Bottas
Latifi,
will not
obviously
be there,
not.
right, in that case, because Latifi.
Latifi, yeah, sorry, I don't know why I,
I mean, yeah.
picked Latifi.
I think actually the thing is why this opinion came up was because I was actually going through I stopped at 2016 and I saw, okay, if it is at this stage in 2016 where Lewis is still a one-time world champion, he goes through 17 and 18, and we tend to forget the kind of mental damage it did to Vettel, because in 2019 he was not the same driver that he was at his peak, and that's what Ferrari does to you. And if that's what Ferrari did to Lewis, I think he retires by 2019. He'll be 30.
That's the other thing, yeah, as well.
old
Like,
will
how
he be?
long does he
30,
stick around?
33, 34?
Yeah,
Something
like
like
how
that.
long does he stick around as a one-time world champion?
I think
holding
he
out
would have
hope, you know?
engineered a move away from Ferrari.
Ferrari, yeah.
Yeah.
But
may
then
have looked
wherever
to
he
try and get-
goes is worse, realistically. You know, there's no.
He may have looked to go to Red Bull, possibly.
But then
Yeah, I
at
know
Red Bull, he doesn't.
We are discounting the fact that Alonso at Red Bull means Red Bull implodes like anything. So, I mean, that's what Alonso does wherever he goes. So,
Well, yeah.
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 Or he goes.
Jesus.
Well, no, he wouldn't go back to McLaren, would he? Because they were such a crap team back then. But
Oh, no. That's worse. I mean,
it's
at least
literally
he's
he would have had to have
fighting
gone to Red Bull basically, and that's it. Like there was no
Yeah.
other option available to
No.
him, or Mercedes sign him later.
Yeah. But there's no.
He might have gone to Renault because it's a works team, and seeing how the whole thing happened with Mercedes, maybe Renault. because Renault also had Alain Prost at the time. I think after 2018, Lewis does not stick around at Ferrari. That's for sure, because the kind of mental damage it does. And actually, that kind of tells you how significant Mercedes is for Lewis's legacy in Formula One. That's my whole point. We tend to discount the fact that if Lewis had not taken that call,
we've had this whole argument before, haven't we? Where I've said that as great as Lewis is, Lewis owes more to Mercedes than Mercedes owe to Lewis. But I think that's. I think you could also say the same about every world champion with their team. Realistically,
yeah.
So it is.
Alonso.
I just made the point because people kept saying, Mercedes owe Lewis so much, and I was like, well, it's imbalanced that Mercedes Lewis owes more to Mercedes, and then people argued with me, and they're like, well, you wouldn't say the same thing about Schumacher, and I'm like, yes, I would.
I would.
I'd
say it a bit less, honestly, for what Michael did, because Michael
maybe
toiled
just because
hard
of the big
for 4 or 5
run-up.
years.
Michael got in as a 2-time world champion at Ferrari as well. Whereas, for example, look at all the success that Charles having. Charles would have none of it if Ferrari hadn't have taken a risk and brought him into the sport, and also done it to really honour Jules as well, who had really pushed for Charles to be in the sport. And then,
don't you think Charles would have been picked up anyways if it's not Ferrari? Teams are. After his Haas test, the private test he did with Haas.
But I think he's right to say as early.
He was faster than Magnussen already. And it was a test done in 2017, something when he was GP3. He was competing in GP3.
Would George have made it without Mercedes? Would Vettel may have come in a bit later than he did because he didn't have the Red Bull backing? Seb wouldn't have got to where he was. He would have come in with BMW potentially, but they wouldn't have given him competitive machinery.
They wouldn't have been there.
Well, Sauber just disappeared. BMW Sauber just disappeared. I agree with Jason there. It's it's all circumstantial. Mercedes, they owe him a lot, but he owes them just as much back.
The thing is, the best drivers get the best seats, which is true, but at the same time, it's always the team is definitely, I think, always owed more than the driver. Pretty much there's very few circumstances where that's not the case. But then
I think Lauda,
the argument to what extent
Ferrari owe him more.
I do think the further back you go as well is different, right?
Yeah.
The further back you go is different.
In terms of where Ferrari was, to an extent, I think McLaren owe Mika Hakkinen a lot because he was the only guy that stuck with Ron. Even though Mika was approached by Williams every year because they actually called him the Schumacher beater.
I think the reason I say the further back you go, the more important it is because the further back you go, the more driver input actually counts for, because the simulation tools have gotten so much better that realistically, you can have a driver sit in, do a few laps, and then you can kind of extrapolate the rest. Whereas back in the past, it was you needed that driver to go out on the track and tell you from feeling what they wanted. That was Newey's famous thing of always, okay, tell me what you need to go faster, and it was the driver's input would make a huge difference there. Whereas I think these days it's less and less of that.
Between the Red Bull that dominated in 2010s and the Red Bull that's dominating right now. They are completely different cars.
Where I think there's a difference though is I think
was a rear, stable, and it had brilliant, and he basically designed the car on that front. Do you know where I think
Lewis adds to Mercedes though that potentially is not given credit for, to play devil's advocate on that, is if you had, say, Lewis not go there, I do think you have a situation where you've got more driver changes, and I do think that stability of Lewis, kind of the Lewis era for them, I do think that stability helps a lot as well. Which, people want to take it as well, how much has he himself actually done? But I think you could extrapolate away and say as well, just the fact of him being there and being that stable driver does a lot as well in itself without him. You know what I mean? Without
Kimi
him
coming in, it's only the fourth driver change that Mercedes have had since 2010.
You have someone you can build around, which is what Verstappen did as well. For having Verstappen for so long gave them the time to build around Verstappen to a championship. True. So I think that's a factor a lot of people don't.
But don't you think an Alonso or a Vettel would have done the same thing?
Depends how long they stay though.
If they jump in, why would they leave? Why would any driver leave a fastest car?
But if they don't
2022
join until 15 or 16, you know what I mean? Like if that's what you're saying, it's a different situation because you've
if
got
they
a
jo-
couple
if
of
they join
driver
in
changes
15,
there.
I mean, assuming
Yeah.
if they join in 15, assuming from that point onwards, neither Alonso nor Vettel are leaving that car.
Well, but the Red Bull was
Irrespective of-
so bad in 2015. I mean, it was
Which
an awful car.
The Red Bull.
The Red Bull.
Yeah.
It was a terrible car.
God. Yeah.
It
But
was-
I think
Yeah,
if
like-
Vettel goes to Mercedes, right? Does he stay as long as Lewis? I don't know. Like he's
Yeah.
coming off the back
Why
of
would he
4
leave?
championships.
But why
So
would
what, he just
leave?
stays there
There's
for-
a reason. Every driver, when he's winning, he's not leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There are
but
two
that's-
reasons for that. First is the hunger to win.
What's that? 10
Second is
championships?
the shitload of money that they get. He would be getting he would be getting paid around 40 to 50 million if he's sticking. I mean, something that Lewis got, right? Why would he leave that money? And unless he became the beekeeper when he knew he could not win again. We would have an entirely different Vettel if that was the case, to be honest. So yeah,
I think the only reason he would leave would be to go to Ferrari to honour Michael, which is why he went to Ferrari in the first place. I think
I think it was there's a bit more of this.
there was an
no,
emotional pull for him
Yeah.
because of Michael, and he wanted to be the one to bring the championship back to.
Like
to
I mean,
Ferrari.
if he got 2015, 16, 17, and 18, right? Imagine he's won those 4 championships. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 8 championships he has then, right?
Yeah.
The championship counter, I think, for Vettel, that drive to get those championships kind of goes out the window. Then it's like, right, I'm literally the greatest of all time in terms of championship counts. So then, I think Baxty's right there. Like the only drive
How
then
old
is
will he be in
go to
2018?
Ferrari, do something else, or retire. You know, like what else have you got to? Because I think, like I said this a lot. Like I think if Lewis wins 2021, Lewis isn't
do
on
you
the grid
think-
right now.
But
you know,
do
like
you
he has
think there
nothing
is a
else
driver
to prove.
on the Formula One grid other than a
He may have done a
Leclerc
season.
that would have gone to Ferrari.
Maybe another one, yeah.
Post 2018.
Hmm?
Do you think there is a driver on the Formula One grid who would have gone to Ferrari post 2018? Any top driver?
Yeah, because you know
Any
what?
top
Just the
driver.
one thing. Yes, I do think so. Just because Ferrari has this
I seriously doubt it.
unimaginable pull all the time. Anyway, that like winning with Ferrari, they all say is just this incredible. Like it's a different level. Like it's Ferrari is Formula One. I do think a lot of humans are deluded. So I do think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you know.
Plus,
Yeah.
in 2018, Ferrari was an attractive prospect because
Post
they
2018.
were
Post
quick.
2018.
Post 2018,
Post-
29. Like if you're looking at that Ferrari as a driver in 2018, you're going, that's a quick car. Like, and I feel I can be a point of difference. Like, because these drivers are so singular-minded, they all think they're the quickest, regardless of the machinery they have. So right, okay, I can jump in that Ferrari and I can win a championship. They were quick in 2019, so okay,
They were quick, but they took a step
Spicy
back
engine.
from. Yeah.
If
God
you're
bless
saying
them.
joining
Spicy
for,
I mean,
if you're
that-
saying
that
joining
engine
for
was still,
2020 is
a thing
different,
of beauty.
right? But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Vettel sticks around to win like 10 championships. I think it's like 8 and then he goes because, like I said, I just think the same with Lewis. Like if Lewis won 2021, like what's he sticking around for then? You know, like
Yeah, but how old is Lewis in 2021? He's 37,
yeah, of course,
36?
yeah.
36, right? And if
He won
Vettel,
2021.
Vettel in 2018 would be 30. 30, 31.
But he
You don't
also
leave at 31.
like he's 31 with 8 championships in the bag. Like what
Yeah.
what else has he got to do? You know that way. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing as well. Like I mean, Ricardo
maybe 100 race wins,
maybe
possibly. That would be the one thing driving him
Yeah. He
forward to get to
probably
100.
would have that by then.
He
though,
would
right?
have that by then, right?
I would imagine. Because
He
how
was
many did he
already
have?
at what he retires at 53, 54.
He had
And,
about 40 odd, 30 to 40 odd when he left Red Bull. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me just look up what-
Yeah,
he
no,
may have been
no,
on
no,
about
no, that's
80
a
or
lot.
90.
That's a lot.
Well, he has 53
yeah,
wins
16.
now, even with being in Ferrari. So I think
Yeah. So if we are saying from
yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, that's 4 years. So he'll have to win 15 each year. 15 is a lot.
No, he wouldn't do that.
no,
No.
probably not.
15 is a lot.
Not with Nico
So,
Rosberg
yeah.
in the car. If it was
Yeah.
Nico
Yeah.
Rosberg, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't see him sticking like that much longer.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's kind of like you're just driving around for a paycheck at that point, you know, which I think you have enough
$50
money. It's
million
kind of like,
paycheck.
yeah, but look, I've talked to a few billionaires in my day, and they all tell me once you get over 100 million, like
Yeah.
dollars, and these are billionaires, but like once you get over 100 million, it's just a pissing contest of a game that the actual numbers don't make differences anymore to your lifestyle. It's literally just, I want to have more than him. And
But still,
You know.
drivers stick around because
Maybe.
of that paycheck.
maybe he does a Kimi Räikkönen and just goes, I'll just drive until my legs fall off. You know, I don't care anymore. You know,
Yeah. I mean, anyways, it's been fun. I mean, a lot of things. I actually expected this one to get heated, but it was very civil.
yeah, unfortunate. Why did you pick a reasonable Lewis Hamilton fan? What were you doing? Like, there's plenty of
Yeah.
unreasonable ones on Twitter.
Bring what's that guy? The one you've had a chat with, the driver.
Listen, there's a range of Verstappen and
Bradley Philpott.
Oh,
Bring
no,
him.
no. Here's the problem, though. Bradley Philpott on Twitter and Bradley Philpott talking on a podcast are two very different Bradley Philpotts.
What
He
we'll
is a
do is we'll
perfectly
just put his
reasonable
tweets in
human
front.
being. Yeah.
What we'll do, basically it's a roast.
No, I want to have a podcast with me, you, FIA Girly, and
Oh,
I'm trying to
God.
think.
Yeah, yeah. Bring those guys on.
There's another,
They have this podcast.
and then there's Max 33 or something. I can't remember his name, but
Mark.
he's like,
Yeah.
is it the one that's like
I mean,
an
he's lost.
absolute
He's-
out and out Verstappen fanboy that just can't say anything bad about Verstappen?
He's apparently gone on a tangent where he's calling Herbert
Well,
a
I just
sexual
want both
predator.
of them on the podcast,
So-
and I'm going to open it by saying neither of these drivers would ever
Fight.
win without the cars. Argue.
Yeah.
And then I'll just like switch my mic off, go for dinner, come back. He's like, oh, it's recorded now. Cool.
Yeah.
Done.
Good job.